Tuesday, Judgment Day, an emotional day, perhaps for two of the all-time greats. One final day, Tony Dungy back. What a great sight that was. Did the Colts win one for their beloved head coach? In Kansas City, tears for Dick Vermeil, who says so long. Do they have one final playoff ride in him? Or would the Bucs drive Pittsburgh into the postseason, Brett Favre? Lambeau magic again? Would it be a final goodbye to Green Bay? In the NFC South, are the Panthers postseason bound? Winning in for the Skins, but they had their hands full in Philly. The Orange Cotton Fiesta Rose. It's the Bush Bowl. Who wins that game between Houston and San Francisco? New Year's Day on NFL Primetime.
NFL Primetime is presented by Miller Lite. Primetime is Miller time. And now, here's your host, Chris Berman.
Hello, everybody. We've been doing this little show for about 19 years now. It's called NFL Primetime. It's been our pleasure. I'm Chris Berman along with Tom Jackson. Tom, hey, look, part of the beauty of doing this job is that we don't get days like this very often.
That's right.
Emotion. We got maybe some goodbyes. We got some great plays. We got some unbelievable playoff stories. It was quite a...
Yeah, and at the end of the season, we finally get to the best part of the season where now the playoff picture is crystal clear for us.
You know what? One for the road.
One for the road.
Let's go. Let's have some fun. It was an emotional day for sure. And we started Indianapolis where there was an outpouring of love for this man, Tony Dungy. That's Tony with his son, Eric. Junior high school son and the fans. I mean, you just knew it was with their hands and their voices. It was really their hearts coming out on the field. And Tony used to work for Dennis Green, longtime friends. Dennis, one of those that made the trip on Tuesday as they buried his son, James. Now to the game. Peyton Manning got hit early in this game against Arizona. It was quickly to see.
Get out of the game. Let's get ready for the playoffs.
Cardinals are trailing 17-10. And here's some history. Neil Rackers had 2 field goals, gives him 40 on the year, breaking the old mark set by Jeff Wilkins and Olindo Mare. Congratulations to him. Fitzgerald and Bolden became the third tandem of receivers to each have over 100 yards. Then, minute and a half to go, Josh. Tears of McCown fumbles at the one with Arizona about to go in. Arizona recovers Marcel Shipp from
Massachusetts.
Dead stuff. Marcel Shipp stuffed again. And then 4th and goal. 22 seconds. Josh McCown. Oh, no, it's a touchdown. Wow. They're going to go in and beat the Indianapolis Colts. The officials scored a touchdown. Peyton said, no way, it was a fumble. And now they review it. It's a booth review, Tom. Here's what they, whoa!
Yeah, and looks like right there, you saw McCown get turned around right at the goal line. It's the same thing the officials saw.
Well, and they say, no, it was a fumble. Rob Morris recovered it. There's the ball. There's Peyton. There's Tony. And there are the Colts, that little 2-game losing streak. I mean, you can't even put into words what this last 10 days, what this week has been for the Indianapolis Colts and the Dungy family and the Colt family. But Indianapolis wins a game. They have, of course, a bye. They've long since known that. They win by the count of 17-13 as the play. Tony never wins one of those challenges.
I know.
Maybe
I know.
There was something special
Karma.
on afterwards, Coach Dungy.
It was special. I didn't really think about it much during the game, but what it symbolized to me is what a close-knit group we have, what a tight family we have, and I know those guys wanted to win that game for me, and wanted to do it for a lot of reasons, but I think they wanted to win it for me, and they came up with the effort to do it. So it'll be a reminder that how much I'll be proud of these guys from here on out. But it was special, definitely. We wanted to get this game for a number of reasons, but we wanted very much to end the season with 14 wins. It's been a neat year for us, and not that many teams have won 14 in the history of the league, so that was important. We wanted to do it the right way, using everybody, and I told the team that's what it was kind of like, a family win, where everybody contributed, and that's what we're all about. So it was really neat.
How does he do it, Coach Dungy? And I mean, the game was at the balance of the. But what did the Colts accomplish? You heard Coach Dungy's take on it. What did the Colts accomplish today? Now they have a bye week, of course, well deserved. And Tony will have some time to take care of both situations, if that's not enough time, but at least it's some time.
Well, I think emotion plays a large part in this game. We both know that. So we saw a little bit of that today. I think we will see that tenfold when they get ready to play again the divisional round of the playoffs in 2 weeks. I think football-wise, I said this morning on Countdown, important that this team look pretty sharp regardless who was in the game. I think Coach would be fully satisfied with that. However, as every coach worth his salt will do, he will have things now that he feels like he has to work on to get his team ready to play in the playoffs. But I thought that they reestablished some sense of confidence today, and they won that game for Tony, which was important to all of them.
And when the Colts come out 2 weeks from now, that first quarter will be maybe unbelievable for them, or maybe the quarter that you can get to. But hey, that's another discussion for another time. An emotional day and a happy new year and a better 2006. To the Dungy family. I think everybody out there feels that way when we return on this New Year's Day edition of NFL Primetime. Jerome Bettis, an emotional day for him in Pittsburgh.
NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite.
And it's fitting on this edition of Primetime. It might be the last edition of Primetime. Primetime. Deion Sanders, little wide receiver today, takes the hitch. Actually, looked like lateral from Kyle Bowler in the Baltimore game in Cleveland. Charlie Fry, Cleveland rookie quarterback. It's Vermeil. Adelius Thomas takes it in, and this is a great scene. That's right, Ozzie Newsome, a great Brown. But, of course, the Ravens GM and Adelius points to Ozzie Newsome at 13-0 Ravens. But Dennis Northcutt takes no shortcut. And what? He goes around the other way, and he could go all the way. 2 punt returns by Northcutt, callback line. Flags this year. He turned around and looked. He spent like 5-10 seconds. Please, no play. And there, Deion leaves for the final time. A storied career he's had in 14 NFL seasons, 50-plus interceptions. But the Browns win for the 6th time this year. So a team that won 4 last year, Romeo Crennel, won 6 times.
And that's the thing, Chris. Kudos to Romeo Crennel. I think he's brought a positive attitude to the Cleveland Browns, something they've been looking for a long time. And much success for that team in his future.
An odd week in Cleveland. GM Phil Savage, what's going on with him? At any rate, but Cleveland ends with a victory on the field after the 41-0 debacle last week. Bills at the Jets. Jet fans, hey, we want Reggie Bush. We like you, but maybe if you don't win this time, come on, Jet fans, you're out to win, aren't you? Kelly Holcomb for Buffalo. Upset Cincy last week. Paul batted in the air by Kerry Rhodes. He fought the law, and the law won. Ty Law pick number 1. Now watch this. Damian Shelton shovels it to Mark Brown. What? Uh-oh, what's going on here? It's a pick. Mark Brown takes the gifts, and the Jets score. It's a 33-yard play. Then Mark Campbell, out of his hands, into the hands of Ty Law. 3 picks today, Tom, for Ty Law. And then one of their high draft picks last year, one of the number 2s, Justin Miller. What? With a little stiff arm on the kick return. This against Bill's special teams.
Bill's special teams been pretty good. Good blocking down the sideline.
Miller, gone. Jets beat the Bills 30-26. For Ty Law, his 3 interceptions give him 10 on the year. He'd never had that much in any of his seasons with the Patriots. Gives him 46 for his career.
Yeah, approaching that magic 50 mark. And anybody who gets over 50, boy, have you had a great career in the NFL.
Absolutely. He already has. Knows where he'll be next year. When we return on NFL Primetime, Reggie Bush. Who would get him? Well, the Jets win, so they're out of the picture. That big San Francisco-Houston game moving. And then history at Lambeau. Not only Brett Favre, Sean Alexander trying to get into the record books. The Chicago Bears have won 10 of their last 11. Mike Tice, would this be his last game as coach of the Vikings? Rex Grossman didn't play. Kyle Orton, who led the Bears to most of those wins, hands it to Thomas Jones. And Jones joins Walter Payton as the only Bears to rush for 1,300 yards in a season. He had a big year, Thomas Jones, one-time number 1 draft pick elsewhere. 2 minutes left to go in the first half. Adrian Peterson stuffed in the middle. Boy, Kevin Williams, E.J. Henderson, turnover on downs. And so Lovie Smith, with his team down 10-3, watches the Vikings, who, remember, under Mike Tice, won 6 in a row. They got back into the hunt until they were eliminated last week. Brad Johnson and Nate Burleson out of bounds. Stop the clock. 18 seconds to go, Johnson, Burleson. And smart play, out of bounds. 7 seconds to go. Well, the Vikings using their head here in the 2-minute drill. Travis Taylor, beautiful play, touchdown, 17-3 the Vikes. And in a game they played for pride and to show everybody that they had a strong November and December. The Bears are already in at the 2 seed, and they have a bye next week, Minnesota. If it is the final time they're playing under Coach Tice, they did him well, and Mike Tice did a heck of a job here in writing this team.
Yeah, and Brad Johnson helped a lot
Yes.
at the quarterback position with Culpepper going down. What a marvelous job he did after he came in as their QB.
27-40 for Johnson and the Vikings and their season 9-7. The Bears moving on, obviously. Meanwhile, Jackson already knows they're the 5 seed. Byron Leftwich was the 3 quarterback today. Will he be ready next week? But meanwhile, with David Garrard, who's gone 4-1 and instead losing one only to the Colts. That's Reggie Williams with a grab. LeBrandon Tofield had a few touchdowns last week, and he gets a leg up here. He had a 100-yard game, and the Jaguars are leading a team that used to give them all sorts of fits. Tennessee 14-0. Steve McNair didn't play. And this is Matt Jones, number 1 pick. He can throw the ball. Remember, he's quarterback. But you forgot because he's wide receiver here. This is what they got him for. So he's 1 for 1, and then he catches a touchdown. So the Jags go on to humble Tennessee, 40-13. As we mentioned, 4-1 under Garrard. The Jags are 12-4 as a wild card team, and we should point out, Tom, that only 2 teams since we've gone this direction have had better records as a wild card team. Tennessee 13-3 in '99, and then there was a Saints team in the strike year that was 12-3. The Jags dangerous. When we return, Larry Johnson, 8 straight 100-yard games. Could he make it 9 or 200? We're giving away some of the plan. You haven't seen this in a long time, but Dougie Floaty had another magic trick up his sleeve. Whose idea was that? Visa Skycam gets you ready. Bill Parcells and the Cowboys at home against the St. Louis Rams. Sunday Night Football finale, 8:30 Eastern Time. And now to the Super Bowl. Houston or San Francisco. One of them is going to, well, you would think has a shot at the first pick in Reggie Bush. David Carr, he was the first pick overall. Tough over the years. He hangs in and takes a licking from Brandon Moore. He would leave the game and would not return. Under a minute to go in the half, 10-0 Texans. Alex Smith, his first touchdown, number 1 pick this year to Brandon Lloyd. 150 passes and now a touchdown. Carr replaced by Tony Banks. Texans lead at Candlestick 17-10 in the 3rd quarter. Banks picked off by Mike Adams. And Mike Adams is agent 86 into the end zone, touchdown. We're tied at 17. Chris Brown, 31-yard field goal. Oh, man, I mean, I know it's windy there. He's had a rough month. No good. We go to overtime. What's better than a Super Bowl than an overtime Super Bowl? Banks picked off by Adams again. And then tricky Niners. Laterals to Ben Emmanuel. Emmanuel into the Texan territory, all the way down to the 26 before he stopped. That sets up Joe Nedney for the win. Niners, good. You know what? They won 4 games for Mike Nolan, an improved squad, and they beat and probably We're not happy to do that. Dom is a great football man and has been a good coach.
Unfortunate.
But he might be one on the chopping block as the 49ers beat the Texans 20-17, which means top 5 picks. Houston, they're now on the clock, Tom. The draft, the last weekend in April. The Saints will pick 2nd. The Titans will pick 3rd. The Jets will pick 4th. The Packers will pick 5th in the NFL draft, or as they call it, the annual selection meeting. We want to get ahead of ourselves there. Can't get Mel Kiper going too soon here on the NFL draft. Well, he has been a bastion of warmth and a pretty darn good football coach as well. Dick Vermeil, though, telling his team last night that this would be it. The Kansas City Chiefs, his tenure here in Kansas City for 5 years would come to a close, although they had a shot today to extend that tenure if they could win and stay in the playoff hunt. Here we go from Arrowhead as the Chiefs and Dick Vermeil. Would there be one more game for Vermeil? Well, Larry Johnson became a starter in the middle of the season, and he's put up, well, the single-season best rushing yardage mark ever by a Kansas City Chiefs. 49 yards, grandmama. Larry Johnson, 13-3. And, you know, there's one of many hugs today for Dick.
Absolutely. Dick Vermeil saying goodbye to his football team.
And then the toss to Johnson. He's whoop! Let's go the other way against the Bengals, who certainly aren't stopping anybody running. And look at the block.
Yeah, read the over pursuit right there. One block to get by, and Odell Thurman touching him as he gets into the end zone.
20-3 Chiefs. More Larry Johnson. Third quarter, 3rd and 1. No, it would be 3rd and a 20-yard burst into the end zone. Johnson has 2 200-yard games this year. Tiki has 3 200-yard games. 201 for Johnson. 2-minute warning. There's Vermeil on the scoreboard. There he is on the sideline. Dick Vermeil hugging a quarterback. Who's with him in St. Louis? Trent Green. And then the Gatorade and the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what, Coach? If you're going out like this, we're going to make sure you're going out in style. The Chiefs, 10-6. We're hoping that Pittsburgh would lose, and so they maul the Cincinnati Bengals team, who ends up the 3rd seed anyway in the AFC, going to the playoffs for the first time since 1990. 37-3. Larry Johnson, 750 yards rushing this year.
Yeah, the second half of the season, there was not a runner as good as Larry Johnson in this league. With all due respect to everybody else that carried the football, he set another standard for a half a season. Now, can he do it for a whole season next year?
The Chiefs were hoping that Pittsburgh would lose. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, for their game against the Lions, you talk about emotion, the bus. How do you think they like him in Pittsburgh? Just listen in. At running back, the 5th all-time leading rusher in NFL history from Notre Dame. Ride the bus, number 36, Jerome Bettis. What a great moment. Bill Cowher making sure he's introduced. And very early on, Antoine Randall between defenders, and he could go all the way. 81 yards, 7-0 Steelers, and blocking down the field.
Yeah, take another look. Clint Crewalt on Casey Fitzsimmons right there. Going to spring Randall L down the sideline, and once Randall L gets to the sideline, it's all over. He's only got the punter between he and the goal line.
Give Detroit credit. They tried to hang in for Coach Dick Duran, Joey Harrington to Marcus Pollard. Touchdown, 7-7. The Lions led it 14-7. But the bus, they take off the hat, put on the big hat, and touchdown, 1 yard. You know, he goes the short blast. We're tied at 14. Under the 2-minute warning, Bettis, 5-yard, touchdown, 21-14 Pittsburgh. Now in the 3rd quarter, Ben Roethlisberger to the co-MVP of the team, Hines Ward. Keep smiling, because for 119 consecutive games, he's got a catch. Same drive, you'll never guess who gets it, Tom, at the 4.
I bet it's Jerome Bettis.
Really? Here it is, and the bus. 3 touchdowns for him, 94 total in his career, 28-14. Now Big Ben, thumb, what the, get down, go, oh, he gets down. 35-21 Steelers, and the bus leaves to this. Jerome Bettis waving goodbye in what could be his last game at Heinz Field. The Steelers win a playoff berth, but as the 6th seed, there's no way they can have a home game, although Bettis could have a home playoff game. His hometown is Detroit. That's where they're playing the Super Bowl. So the Steelers beat the Lions 35-21. They've won 4 in a row. They ran for 199 yards today. Bettis, 13,662 yards and 94 touchdowns. But so the Steelers are in. That means it is indeed the final game for Coach Dick Vermeil. His wife Carol, you know what? He's been a gift to everybody that's come close to him, especially his players. Not a dry eye.
It's the right time for me to go. It's the right time for me to leave the Chiefs. They don't need a year-in guy every year saying, is he going to be here? You know, it's just not fair. And I just wish I was 10 years younger, you know. But, hey, it is not an age factor anyway, guys. It's just time. You know, I've got the stamina and everything, but it's just time.
Chiefs finished 10-6, by the way, just the 4th team since they expanded the playoffs to win 10 games and not make the postseason. Dick Vermeil has been Coach of the Year in the NFL, been Coach of the Year in college. He was at UCLA, remember? He won a Rose Bowl. He's been Coach of the Year in junior college. He's been Coach of the Year in high school. And he's been Man of the Year more times than that, Tom. We'll miss him, but he won't be far from football.
No, a great coach with the Philadelphia Eagles, with the Rams, with the Kansas City Chiefs, long-tenured coach, took some time off in between, came back, was just as good in another era. And the thing that strikes me about Dick Vermeil is that so many coaches skeptical about getting close to their players, want to stay aloof and, keep some distance between them. That was never a fear of Dick Vermeil's. I think that he got close to his players, and they appreciated it, and they showed him that in return in their play on the field.
Super Bowl win, Super Bowl runner. I mean, he's done it all. We'll miss him,
Yes.
but he said it is just time. Now, quick, it's a historical night on the show, Tom. Do you know what the first highlight in 1987 when the show started, first highlight in the history of NFL
Scared to look.
Primetime? Well, no, we're not going to show it. Thank God.
Okay.
I got to burn those tapes. It was Miami at New England in
Okay.
Sullivan
All right,
Stadium.
all right.
Fitting that they're playing again today, and it's more history in this game. But who knew? Well, 20 years ago, the Patriots had their first Super Bowl team. There's 14, Steve Griffin, Steve Nelson, 57, Ricky Williams, 100 yards last week, and a quick hit for Ricky up the middle. Touchdown, 7-0 Miami. He had 108 yards rushing on the day. Tom Brady played just a little bit, and he's going to go back to pass and hit Deion Branch from touchdown. Brady leaves after the first quarter. We're tied at 7. Miami comes in winning 5 in a row. New England comes in winning 4 in a row. Matt White Castle doles out the square hamburgers. He hits to Tim Dwight. Timmy Dwight's in there for a touchdown. Castle, USC, playing more today than he did behind Leinart and Carson Palmer. Now, actually, wait a minute. Doug Flutie? What? No! It's a drop kick! A drop kick! Doug Flutie, another miracle, another trick up his sleeve. It's 25-20. Look, him and the coach, Bill Belichick, love the old-time football. 1941. You remember Scooter McLean for Chicago, Wrigley Field. Good in the championship game as the Bears beat the New York Football Giants. That was the last drop kick 64 years ago. Today, Castle to Ben Watson. No time left on the clock. Patriots down by 8. No, they're down by 2. Now, the drop kick won't do it. It's just 1 point. Just like an Castle, incomplete. And Miami, and Belichick's good friend Nick Saban, end the season with 6 straight wins. They beat the Patriots 28-26. New England ends up the 4 seed to snap that 4-game winning streak. We told you Ricky had 108 yards, but in a game that many Patriots, like Corey Dillon, etc., and Brady hardly played, and others didn't play, the Patriots lose for the first time in a month. Now, wait a minute, the drop kick. Wait a minute, you thought you'd seen it all? 1941? Let's take a look. Here it is, Doug Flutie. Now, where in the world would they come up with an idea like this? Dougie Flutie, who long wanted to be the guy to do it in the NFL. Well, the coach spoke about it afterwards.
We went through it a couple of weeks ago, and, he had mentioned that actually Chris Berman brought it up initially about how he had seen him do it up in Canada, and so, we had a couple tryouts out there, and Doug shanked a couple, but he hit a couple pretty good ones, and so, thought if we had an opportunity to do it here in one of these last couple of games, that we'd give him a shot. And
wow, the legend. Okay. My gig is up. Thank you, Coach. Hey, Doug Flutie. That's
great, though. That's great.
40 yards at Buffalo and drop kick him.
Coach said you'll never see it again.
He knew the last one in the CFL was 1988, but the last extra point you saw 1941, the last field goal drop kick, Dutch Clark, Hall of Famer, 1937. The ball was rounder, like the coach said.
Right.
What an opportunity. We saw history
was
today.
good.
Thank you,
Great.
guys. Meanwhile, you'll see the Patriots don't know if they'll be trying drop kicks. The second game on ABC's wild card doubleheader, the Jags at the Patriots, the 12-4 Jags at a better record than the Patriots. The Patriots at home. The late game on ABC Saturday. The other AFC game Sunday, the rubber match. Steelers at Bengals. Pittsburgh has won in Cincy impressively. Cincy has won in Pittsburgh impressively. So, Tom, with the Broncos, the 2 seed, and the Colts, the 1 seed on the bye. Very quick look at Jacksonville, kind of the sleeping. But New England, put today aside, that front 7 and Tom Brady and Adam Vinatieri and Bill Belichick, I kind of like that package.
Well, I think they're playing about the way they want to be playing this time of year, and they're playoff ready. I think that the one worry I would have right now is Teddy Bruschi and his health as they get ready to go into the playoffs. Don't worry, no problem. Going to run the ball well, and offensively, Tom Brady, I've already said, is my MVP. But I think that it's important to be playing well when you get to this point.
Where's
of the season.
Cincy?
And Cincinnati,
Pittsburgh is playing well.
Cincinnati right now, I think, has to be disappointed into the way that they're kind of limping into the playoffs. The Jaguars were out to make that statement today. We're playing well. We're playoff ready. I think that right now, Cincinnati's the one team you'd be a little bit concerned about the way they're coming into the playoffs.
They're at home. Will that help? Pittsburgh's won there. That's got to help the Steelers.
I think it will help some, but I think, I've already said Pittsburgh may be more comfortable on the road.
Yes.
They lost 4 championship games at home. So if you're Cincinnati, you've got I think Coach Lewis knows he's got a lot of work to do in the next week.
That AFC grid is stacked, Tommy. It
as
is
good a
stacked.
6 as I've ever seen.
It is. Pittsburgh at the 6th team, hasn't lost for a month. I mean, very impressive. So the playoffs start next week. Now, what about the NFC? We'll be back on NFL Primetime. What about Brett Favre, a playoff perennial? Not this year. Would this be it in Green Bay? Well, all eyes are on number 4. Meanwhile, the NFC South, that up for grabs, literally.
Inside the Numbers, brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. With
Happy New Year's Day. Once again, everybody, welcome back to NFL Primetime. If they say your life passes before your eyes, before you go, then in some way, in football terms, perhaps it was odd that the last game for Brett Favre and the Packers on their schedule brought to town Mike Holmgren, his one-time coach. They won a Super Bowl together and now coaching the best team in the NFC, the Seattle Seahawks. Favre, he doesn't know yet, hadn't said, but a historic career. Might it be the last time we would ever see him at the frozen tundra at Lambeau Field? Brett Favre, all eyes on number 4, one of the most storied quarterbacks ever in the NFL, and there's his old coach, a hug before the game. Oh, by the way, some history for Sean Alexander. Yes, the NFL record for touchdowns in one season was 27. No, it's 28. Congratulations to Sean Alexander's ragtime band. New NFL record, the Seahawks lead 7-6. And then, after Tiki Barber's game last night, Alexander needed a certain amount of yards. He got it. He ends with 1,880, the 9th best total single season in the history of the league. Congratulations to Sean Alexander, the rushing champ. This is what they came for. Brett Favre didn't have a TD in December. It's Antonio Chapman on New Year's Day. Pack lead 20-14. Late third. Favre into the hands of Donald Duke and the driver. 59 yards. Boy, it's been a treat to watch him all through his career, showing you these highlights, but too much of this year, Tom. He loses the ball.
Yeah, Favre loses the ball right there. The Seahawks recover, and you can see Coach Sherman on the sideline, a little bit concerned.
23-17, Green Bay, less than a minute to go. Yes, in your hearts. And number 4, Brett Favre, after 3 straight handoffs, comes off. And what a great family he has. His wife, Deanna, and the Favre family upstairs. And the game ball from Aaron, there he gets it. Aaron Rodgers, and there's Coach Holmgren at the end. Brett Favre waving to the fans. Hadn't said yet, nor should he. He's allowed to sleep on this. The Packers, at least for Favre, go out a winner over the Seahawks, snapping their 11-game winning streak. Seattle goes in as the top dog in the NFC. 23-17, though. Seattle loses to Green Bay. Chance of one more year. Favre would throw for 259 yards, which, if you add it all up, 53,615. That's 30.5 miles passing, Tom. Everything else, pass attempts, completions, touchdown passes, and he now has 396 second, and all these to Dan Marino. Oh, by the way, will we ever see 221 straight starts broken? That record as the Iron Man, truly 14 years as quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. And there's just so many memories of Brett Favre. But I think his toughness in a position that there's no way you can start every game for 14 years, Tom. We should start there.
The numbers tell me that he has been the most competitive player at his position, NFL quarterback, which I think is the toughest in sports in the history of this league. That's the numbers. My eye as a football player tell me that he has been the greatest possibly in the history of this game to ever play, not just because of the consistency on the field, but the level of the quality of play. It's just been outstanding. He played great over a long, long period of time, and I've always said to you that for me, is what defines greatness.
You know, and we've sat here and watching every week. You know, we watch up in the room, and then you go back to pass, and everybody stops when those things are happening. But I don't know if this is going to be it for Brett. It's his decision. My gut feeling says that it's over. He'll decide when it's his time. I'll think of the little kid running around that Superdome field when the Packers beat the Patriots in the man that played a day after his dad passed away, and that amazing performance on Monday night. That duel he had last year with Peyton Manning, kind of like the older fella, and the master and the youngster, and those pushing and shoving with Warren Sapp just kind of being a guy.
Gunslinger.
He's a gunslinger. He's the last of a breed, and if this is the last time, Brett, nobody did it better. When we return on this edition of NFL Primetime, we still have a playoff spot up. The Redskins have to win at Philadelphia, the defending NFC champs, who you knew would come out hard. And the Bucs are in, but could they win the division? Saints gave them a tussle. Steven. Welcome back to Prime.
Copy of the It's Just Lunch Guide to Dating in Your City. Call 800-99-LUNCH.
And now the NFC playoff
time, presented by Miller Lite.
The playoff picture, in which Tampa Bay found out last night by virtue of a giant win that they'd be in the playoffs, but the NFC South division up for grabs. Tampa had a shot at that. Carolina had to win to get in the playoffs, and the Washington Redskins had to win at Philadelphia to get in the playoffs. All this had to happen, or else Dallas would have a chance on Sunday Night Football. So here we go. Let's see how the NFC playoffs were decided. Carolina, they beat Mike Vick for the first time in 6 tries earlier this year. And in Atlanta, they lost 7 in a row. And very early on, Keith Brookings sacks Jake Delhomme. Daylight come, and he had to Delhomme because look at that. Little rip of pants, and you get a little equipment problem. However, it would be Atlanta that would play the rest of the game with their pants down. A pathetic performance by the Falcons as Delhomme to Ricky Prohl, shampooing for 12 yards, 7-0 Panthers. We scored 7-3 in the first in Atlanta. Deshaun Foster. I know Carolina hadn't been around that long, but they'd never had a run from scrimmage this long. Could go all the way. 70 yards, Deshaun Foster. It used to be Barry, but why don't we bring it back? Deshaun Bananas Foster. And then, what happens here with Atlanta?
Well, you take a look. Defense is a team game. You got to contain, turn it back. I think the outside guy does a good job of turning it back to the defense, but the pursuit is not there. Deshaun Foster down the sideline for a score.
And then Delhomme to Steve Smith. What a year he's had this year. 103 catches for him, and yes, holy makahiki ho. That's Happy New Year in Hawaiian. And yes, he's going to the Pro Bowl. And in the end, it's John Fox. And the Carolina Panthers just lay one into Atlanta. 44-11. So they sweep a team that they could never beat. And as we said, Foster ended up with 165 yards rushing, over 400 yards in total offense for a Panther team that when they look good, they look really good. So Carolina knows they're in the playoffs. Could they win the division if Tampa Bay falters? John Gruden and the Bucs in the playoffs for the first time since they were in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. Jim Haslett, a season you wouldn't wish on anybody with the Saints have had. Chris Sims, Joey Galloway. Galloway, 10 touchdown catches this year. Again, it's not the highest number, but it's a Bucs record. 7-0 Bucs. Michael Pittman, gone! Or almost gone. He could go all the way down at the 1-yard line. Dwight Smith, the former Buck, pulls him down, 64 yards for Pittman, and then a couple plays later, Sims to Galloway, 14-3, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, watch the move that Galloway's going to make on Fakir Brown right here. Just spins him down, gets outside. Nice delivery of the football by Sims.
17-10 at the half. Now the score is 17-13, and Ronald McKinnon's going to pick the ball off with 12 minutes to go. The Saints are still in this game, Tom, in the fourth quarter. But John Gruden says, let's challenge it off the tip and it was a good challenge because the ball hit the ground first. As a result, Tampa kept the ball. They hit a field goal. It's 20-13, and then defense. Dwayne White, fumble! Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling away from Todd Bauman. Touchdown, defense, Tampa. How many times have we said that?
That's been a staple for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since the time Tony Dungy was there.
And so the Buccaneers have won the NFC South. Congratulations for Coach Gruden. And 27-13, the Bucs beat the Saints. Cadillac had 81 yards running. You saw that Pittman had the big run. And so Tampa Bay and Carolina in. And now, the Washington Redskins, with a late kickoff, have won 4 in a row for Joe Gibbs. They've doused Dallas and the Giants, scoring 35 points in each of their last 2 games. And Mark Brunell, hurt last week, is starting. Dexter Wynn, fumble, Mike, to Sellers Market. Mike Sellers on the ball for Washington. Brunell, not only does he recover fumbles, he catches touchdowns. 7-3 Skins. But give Philly, with everybody on IR, Tom, you got to give Philly the nod for coming to play, even if their last 60 minutes is NFC champ.
Boom, we knew that they would play hard. It was just a matter of, did they have enough bullets in the gun, as we said this morning.
Mike McMahon to Reggie Brown, 10-7 Philadelphia. Brown had 2 today. Now game on. 17-10 Philly, early third. Brunell to Santana Moss. What kind of season has he had? What? Stays in bounds. 54-yard completion. Sets up. Clinton Portis. Pitch right. Cuts in. Tied at 17. And the Redskins back in the hunt. David Akers from Louisville. It's a field goal. It's 20-17. But then, here you go. Mike McMahon. He has in his hand the final envelope. Oh, boy. Tipped by Lamar Marshall. 4 picks for him this season. Next play for the Skins, it's Clinton Portis. Going right for the jugular. What? With the spin. What? With another spin. And watch this, Tommy. Into the air. Touchdown. So 1 play and the Skins have the lead.
Yeah, instinctive running here. Clinton Portis' run designed to go to the right side. He spins away, gets to the left side, has a nice speed to get outside, and then to get into the end zone.
And now Philly still has a chance, though. 24-20. Coy Detmer is in. More defense. Washington. Phillip Daniels. Fumble! Sean Taylor on it. And no Eagle is on it. And Taylor is gone. So McMahon, then Detmer. The key mistakes. Washington flying into the playoffs for Joe Gibbs. Year 2 return. Congratulations, Joe. The Skins are in. Means Dallas eliminated. And Washington wins it 31-20. So they've scored 101 points in the last 3 weeks as a Skins team that is now clearly rolling. 5 straight wins. And so the Redskins will play at the Bucs. This was one of the games of the year. What was it?
It's going to be great.
35. That's on ABC. The first game on Wild Card Saturday at 4:30. Skins at Bucs. This one, Panthers at Giants. The Fox game on Sunday at the Meadowlands, where the Giants were 8-1 this year, looms as a large game. Like we said, the Skins and Bucs. That was a wild first game played on this very field. But look, Carolina on a given day looks as good as anybody just about, I know, Seattle in the conference. But the Giants are tough at home. That's a tough game, Tom.
Well, I think you've got Steve Smith, who's played as well as any receiver in the league this year, the most explosive guy in the league to me. I got Tiki Barber on the other side of the field, maybe the most consistent runner other than Sean Alexander. And this is the time of year you get excited. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. And, of course, you already know that Seattle and Chicago have the byes in the NFC. We're not saying goodbye. We have a lot to do. We got game balls. We'll take another look at the wild card round. We'll take a little look back. And it was an emotional and memorable day in the NFL. Can we cap it off?
Boomer, nobody has been tougher. Nobody's been better. Nobody's given us more enjoyment than Brett Favre. If this is the end for him, he has been, to me, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the history of this league. A pleasure to watch. He gets my game ball.
Nobody was more inspirational this last week than Tony Dungy. No one should have. There's his son, Eric. Our game ball goes to Tony Dungy for just coming back and inspiring a team a couple of cities and a couple of old guys here sitting on the set of NFL Primetime. Once again, ABC's Wild Card Saturday. The early game, Redskins at the Buccaneers, kickoff at 4:30. We'll see you for the pregame show. Jaguars at the Patriots. That's the late game in New England. Then Sunday, the Panthers are at the Giants. That's the early game in the NFC. And then the Steelers at the Bengals. That wraps up the 4 games. That'll be the AFC game later, kickoff on Sunday. Now, you know what? We dug something up here, Tom. I'm afraid to look. 1987.
I told you I was afraid to look.
Can you look? Go ahead. Please. Let's see.
Good evening once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to ESPN's debut of NFL Primetime, and we hope this becomes a habit through the 16 weeks of the regular season and on to the playoffs, as we're going to delve into the ball games throughout the Sunday each week in the NFL like nobody has before, and we like to think nobody will thereafter. And if you were with us on game day, you saw us introduce before Tom Jackson, a man who played and excelled 14 years at outside linebacker for the Denver Broncos.
Oh, God.
I don't know what, is that us? I don't know what to say. Here's
another life.
Here's what I want to say. We want to thank all of us, the players and the coaches and those in the NFL, for providing us excitement every week through these 19 years. We want to thank you viewers, some old-time viewers, some new-time maybe football fans that we helped nurture a little bit. It's a privilege to come in your homes every Sunday night for 19 years. We'd like to thank the ladies and gentlemen who are behind the scenes, some with us right here, right now, others that have gone far and wide over 19 years. They have the hardest job in television, making us look good. It was a labor of love for them, and we want to thank everybody that's ever worked on the show. And partner, you've become my best friend.
I echo those thoughts.
Enjoyed that.
A privilege to occupy this seat.
Thank you, Tommy. Although you haven't aged a bit, I haven't. I don't know what happened here. But we will say this. We're on to a new time. It's Monday Night Football on ESPN. Primetime is on to a new time, new location. It's going to be great. We're going to the same 19 years of joy. We're going to keep putting it on you. So Happy New Year, and fittingly.
Happy New Year.
Fittingly, Tom Jackson, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching NFL Primetime. Sunday Night Football. Rams, Cowboys. Sunday night finale. Mike Patrick and the gang.